Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the MoonLightin Outdoors podcast. Today, we're coming to you for a product review. We're going to talk about the Agm Varmit line as well as the Agm Rattler 256 line. I'm here with Travis Shelton from Santa Claus Optics. Travis is no stranger to the show. I think this is probably the maybe fifth or sixth time we've had him on. He's been incredibly informative. He's been a great member to the team, and we've definitely learned a lot from him. So, instead of boring you with an intro, let's hop right into it. Thanks for being a part of this, Travis. I appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I wanted to get on here and talk about a couple new lines that AGM has recently brought. Really exciting lines. The first one is the Agm Varmit Lrf. There is four different models in this line. There's a 35 384, which is a 3.0 base, a 50 384, which is a 4.5 base, and then a 35 640, which is a 2.0 base, and a 50 640, which is 2.5 base. As the name sounds, they called this the Varmint. It kind of caters to coyote hunters. In the thermal last couple of years, there's been kind of a shift in the base magnifications and offerings for coyote hunters. Whenever these first got popular, it seemed like they were all catered towards the hog hunters and appropriate base magnification for hog hunters, lower base magnification. And now that's starting to shift, and they're starting to cater to coyote hunters a little bit, which is great to see. I'll do a little unboxing of it here. So in the box, you got a nice padded case, and then there are two additional boxes here on each side that has a charging cradle and strap, I think, for the bag, but just don't miss those other two boxes that's on the side there. So then inside the case, we've got some charging cables, manual. There's a thumb drive in here, which has a digital copy of the manual also. Of course, the optic. Then a couple of 18650 batteries. And that's another very nice thing about this optic is it runs on standard 18650 batteries. I say standard. It is standard 18650 batteries, but this scope does require 70 millimeter in length batteries. 18650s sometimes seem to vary 65 millimeters, 67 millimeters, so they need to be 70 millimeters. With the units that I sell, I'm going to also include two additional 18650s that are 70 millimeter. These are protected, and they actually charge with a micro USB port right on the battery. So you'll get a charging cable, and the battery just plugs directly in. You can charge two batteries at once, so that's kind of nice. A lot of times, some cell phones, other chargers you already have in your truck, you don't have to have a charging cradle. You just plug the battery straight in. So with the purchase, you'll get two, and then I'm going to throw a kit in, another two with the purchase of the scope, so you'll have a total of 4 batteries. Approximate run time on the battery is about 5 hours. They list it 4.5, 5 hours. I hunted the other night with one. It was good. It was 50 degrees or so, but we hunted 5 or 6 hours, and I still had some battery left. So pretty good run time.
Can these be hooked up to an external battery pack while you're running it, or?
It can. Yeah, this absolutely can. You can also run an external battery pack. To me, though, the beauty of this is you don't have to run the external battery pack. I know some people, are fine with that. That's been the determining factor on some scopes with some of my customers is in the past is they don't want to mess with an external battery pack. So they want something either, built in or removable batteries or something. So that is definitely a selling point to some people, not to have to mess with that. So this that I have here is the 35 384, 35 millimeter lens. Other than the lens size, all the units are the same as far as features. You don't get any more or less features with any of the units. The only difference is resolution, lens size, and base magnification. This is the laser rangefinder. It is pretty small. I would say it's good, out to 300 yards or so. Condition definitely plays a role in that. Doesn't seem to be able to cut through some of the fog or haze very well. So, condition that all laser rangefinders struggle with that. That's something that, they're not going to be able to cut through.
Travis, how often do you use your laser rangefinder when you're out? If you have access to that, I mean, is it something that is a really handy tool or not so much?
It is. It is. I mean, I'm definitely not saying that it's not something you can't get away without. There's tons of people that do. I've had customers in the past that have bought one and say they literally never use it. I had a customer a couple of weeks ago traded in a Trail LRF for a thermline. He was running it on a bolt gun, and I said, but what about your laser rangefinder? He says, I never use it. So it's not for everyone. But
how long does it take to range something? Like, realistically, there's a coyote out there 200 or 300 yards. Tell us about how long it take.
This model, for right now, and this could change. I've talked with AGM. They sent me a demo model, and I went over a couple of things that I thought would be really nice changes. They acted very receptive to it and acted like maybe down the road in some firmwares. So right now, how you activate this rangefinder is a long press of this black button right here. It's 3 to 5 seconds. So you got to press it and hold it for 3 to 5 seconds before it gives you a range. I suggested, a quick press of the button, press and release, give you a range. The Fusion scanners, that's I guess would be the same thing in a scanner that they just came out with this. It's a single press of the button and it's very fast. I mean, you press the button, you get a range. So I think this optic is capable of that. It's just the function, there's only 3 buttons here. This is a button, this is a button, and this is a button. So, to do functions with only 3 buttons, you're going to have short presses, long presses, dual presses to be able to accomplish everything you need to. And I understand that.
Sure.
But, my recommendation was the 2 most used functions on this scope was going to be the laser rangefinder and starting and stopping video. So, to try to get to single presses of those buttons. It's not bad right now. What I recommend to customers is when you set up stand, before you ever start calling, get you a couple ranges out in the field. Get you a couple landmarks, ditches, fence lines, a piece of, an implement sitting out there, anything that's a landmark before you ever start calling, range. Okay, that's 200 yards. That's 150. That's 250. And then, then you've got an idea. And, that way, if that coyote won't stand still long enough to get a range, you just need a 200-yard mark. Once it crosses 200 yards, it's game on.
Right.
So, to answer your question about, the laser rangefinder thing, yeah, it's a useful tool, but it's definitely not a have to have. I mean, lots of people, don't have it, and I've even had some that do that say they never use it. Me personally, I like it. I'm hunting with a Rico 42 right now, and it has it. I've hunted with the 50 384, and I like having that ability for me.
There's just so many times I can't even remember to hit the record button.
Yeah,
things go so fast. So I didn't know.
Yeah, it definitely does. And then these optics, just like all of the, the Rattler line, the Varmint line, come with an American Defense QD mount, very high quality mount. Typically, a mount like this, if you buy it separate for other optics, is about a $200 mount, and that's included with the price of these optics. Here's where your 18650 goes. Unscrew it, drop it in. Not going to really go over the button layouts because that could change, but you've got a roll wheel here. That's how you manipulate the magnification and work your way through the menu. So it's very, very easy to do on the fly. Really nice. I think we're going to try to potentially link some videos at the end that I took hunting with the 50 384. So you can see some of the image quality. Really nice image quality. I tell you, some of these 384 images are just getting so impressive. They're really, really nice. So
we're going to do one of two things with what you just talked about, linking videos. We're either going to attach it into this video, or in the comments section of this video, or the description, we're going to give the links to Travis's YouTube channel, where he actually has those videos up. So one or the other, make sure that you guys watch these videos. I did check them out before before Travis and I started filming here, and he does a voiceover, and it's extremely informative. So either stay tuned and hopefully you're attached to this. If not, check out the description because we're going to have them there.
Yeah. So the different models, like I mentioned before, you got the 35 384, which is a 3X base, the 50 384, which is a 4.5X base. So in those two options there, in the 384 line, I say, the 3X base, good for shots out to 300 yards. Ideally, you're going to be in that 2 to 250 range. Now, that doesn't mean that if you wanted to take a 325 yard poke that you couldn't do it. But ideal ranges, 250, 3X is going to be very good for that. And then you go to the 50 384, and that's going to extend those distances a little bit. That's going to be for the guys that are regularly shooting out, to that 250 yard range, maybe even 300. But it really, that base magnification really helps. And then you go to the 640s, which you've got a 2 and a 2.5. Those are going to be really nice for the guys that hunt a wide range of things. Guys that equally hunt some 50 yard stuff and 200 and 300 yard stuff. They have equal amounts of stuff across the board, because then you have the ability to still zoom and have good resolution left. So I mean, that to me is just an awesome base mag line. 3, 4.5, 2, 2.5.
So on this Varmint line, okay, it sounds like you've talked about 3 or 4 different models. There's 4, correct?
There's 4.
Okay. And the elephant in the room that we've not discussed yet, what's, is the price of them. So let's start at the bottom and then we'll pick back up.
Okay. So the 35 384 is $32.95. The 50 384, $37.95. The 35 640, $49.95, and the 50 640, $54.95. So 33 to 5,500. You got a nice wide range of choices there. I really feel like there's something for everyone there. I mean, if you think about it, for $3,300, you literally have every option in a thermal that's offered, other than sound, I guess. The video, the onboard video does not have sound. You can record sound through the app using your microphone on your phone, kind of a workaround. But I mean, you've got American Defense QD mount, laser rangefinder, onboard video, onboard rechargeable batteries, for $3,300. So
this is kind of putting you on the spot, Travis. But when AGM designed these units, what do you think that they were? What competition do you think they had in mind when they were building these units? What would you compare them to?
Well, the closest thing, to this, the closest competitor would be the Trail 2. The Pulsar Trail 2 would be the XQ line and the XP line, which, these fall, this is right at $1,000 less expensive than the Trail XQ50. Now this is a smaller, this is a 35, versus a 50, but even the 50 at $3,795 is still 500 less. So that's definitely its closest competitor would be the Trail 2, and they're both right on par with image quality, to the Pulsar. Pulsar is a very nice unit as well. But that pretty much covers the Varmint line. I tell you, AGM has been coming out with some really nice offerings. They've got a very wide range. Their scanners are awesome. They've just got a really nice wide range of optics, something for everybody. And then, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the next line that they came out with this year. It dropped a couple weeks before the Varmint, but it was a 256 line, and it is in the Rattler line. Looks just like the other Rattlers, but they have two different models in this, a 19 and a 25. The 19 256 is 2.5 base, and the 25 256 is 3.5 base. And from a budget standpoint, these optics are really just amazing. Sub $2,000. The 19 is $1,295, and the 25 is $1,595. So a decent amount below $2,000. And I'm telling you guys, these are 100% usable out to a couple hundred yards. There's a video that shows this optic as well. You have a couple coyotes they start out a little over 200 yards, and then they come in, and the first one's shot at 80, and the next one at 120. But they're really nice options in that price point.
That's excellent.
And its functions and everything are the same as all the other Rattlers. They've got a complete line in the Rattler line, 384s and 640s. So now they've got a 256, a 384, and a 640 line with two to four options in each. So several different options in the Rattler line. Again, if laser rangefinder and onboard rechargeable batteries aren't something that you need, this Rattler line is definitely one to consider.
That's excellent. So one thing that we've not discussed is setting these scopes up. I assume they hold multiple profiles, and
they do. So the menus on the Varmints and the Rattlers are very, very similar. So that's a good point. The AGM Varmint and Rattlers profiles are a little different than some other scopes. A lot of scopes you might have A, B, and C profile, maybe gun 1, 2, or 3. So these use the reticles as the different profiles. So it's got 5 different reticles. When you zero reticle 3, that's the only reticle that's zeroed. The other 4 can be used for different profiles. So you can go zero reticle 1 for your 308. You can zero reticle 2 for your 223, reticle 3 for your 224 Valkyrie, so on and so forth. If that's something that you want to do.
Sure.
Me personally, I don't do that. I mount it and leave it on a gun. I tell all my customers, if that's not something you're going to mess with, pick a reticle, zero it. When you get your zero established, you got your X is 12, your Y is negative 28. Go set all 5 reticles the same. You don't physically have to shoot them, but just go make reticle 1, 12 and negative 28. Reticle 2, 12 and negative 28. That way, at any given point, you decide, I don't like this reticle anymore. I want to change it. You can change it. If you accidentally get it changed, you're fine.
That's a good point.
That's what I recommend to do. There's definitely guys out there that do swap them around. Some guys, throw them on a 22 for shooting coons or whatever. Just know that that's the reticle that's zeroed.
Sounds good. So one thing that we've not discussed yet also is that Travis and I are going to come back on January 9th. Not pinning ourselves tight to a time, but somewhere approximately around 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to attempt to come on live and discuss the Varmint line and the Rattler line in a live feed. So hopefully, anyone out there that might have watched this video and have any remaining questions about them can come on and we can see about getting them answered, or Travis can answer them for you. So that'd be great.
Yeah. So, if guys, if you think of questions or anything that I didn't discuss in detail or in depth, or maybe even completely missed, I'm sure there's things that I missed. I didn't do a full in-depth review, just so guys, could ask questions about it whenever we come on and do the live thing. So, anybody that's got questions, tune into that, and hopefully there'll be a lot of questions and ask, and we can get some things answered.
Sounds great. Is there anything we need to throw in here, Travis, before we wrap this up?
No, just as always, if you guys want to talk one-on-one about any of these or other products, feel free to reach out. Feel free, 812-686-3571. You can give me a call at any time. If I don't answer, I'll call you right back. So always willing to help answer any questions and, help pick out the right optic for your needs.
Sounds great. No, like always, Travis, I appreciate having you on. And I know that people definitely have learned a lot from you through here. And you just about can't go on any forum talking about thermal and not see Santa Claus Optics all over them. So Travis has made a lot of people happy. And I know I bought my AGM scanner from Travis. He's been wonderful to work with. And I can't say enough about my thermal. I love it. It's the AGM. What model is it? Taipan 25.
Yeah, Taipan 25.
And it's fabulous. Absolute game changer. But again, thanks, Travis. And you guys either stay tuned and we're going to attach this video onto the end, or like I said, we're going to have a description of them or have a link to it in the description. So check those videos out and set your calendar, a reminder for January 9th, somewhere around 8 p.m. Eastern. It takes us a while to get everything hooked up and dinner in our belly. So we'll see you January 9th, hopefully.
Thanks.
All right, we're out.
Here's some videos I took with the Agm Varmit 5384. This coyote just cuts across the field, no shots fired, but it's about 250 to 300 yards. This next clip, we actually called him back out, and he was about 200 yards right here. Ended up getting him to stop and get a shot off. And then in this next clip that's coming up, no shots were fired on this. Went back the next day and checked the range on distance measure, and these coyotes were actually 400 to 500 yards away. Clearly tell they're coyotes. Kind of a perfect scenario with the blacked out field and then white hot, but it's pretty impressive for a 384 unit. Totally tell they're coyotes, no problem positively identifying. This here, you can see the range display in the top. It displays in meters, but this coyote is approximately 250 yards away. You can see me barking, trying to get him to stop. Ends up running up on top of the hill and wadding up. We were never able to get this coyote to stop. Think he might have winded us, but he was about 250 yards away. Ends up working his way on over the hill. You see me barking at him, trying to get him to stop, but he wasn't having anything to do with it. And in this next clip, you can see I actually take a range on this one. At one point, you can see a mouse running around down in the bottom left corner of the screen, over 100 yards away. This coyote's about 250 yards away. The wind was kind of going this direction. That's actually the direction that other coyote came from. He was starting to get downwind of us here. I think he ended up winding us and was kind of checking up, so we just went ahead and took the shot. Right here, he's about in our scent cone. And you can see there, 215 meters, so how I usually deal with the meters in this scope for right now, I usually just round up in 50-yard increments. So 215, I call it 250. 260, I call it 300. 87, I call it 100. Just round up in 50-yard increments, and it'll get you really close, inside 300 yards. That's the easiest way I've found to do it. You see the shake in the video. That's me barking at him, trying to get him to stop. This video is with the Agm Rattler 25-256. These coyotes started at a little over 200 yards. And then when they start coming in, you can clearly start to identify that they're coyotes around 200. This first coyote shot at about 80 yards. And then the second coyote ends up getting shot right at 120. Really impressive image quality out of a 256 thermal. The thing that saves it is the 3.5 base mag. Makes it 100% usable out to a couple hundred yards.